Hello and welcome to Irregular Odes on YouTube. This video is a bit of an experiment. I haven't before come to my website and used it, but here we are. So this is Noche in Blanco Madrid, Spain. I thought I would record the story of this night because in terms of the narrative of these photos, they don't kind of fit within the landscape theme of this website because they are personal and include photographs that are somewhat less perfect. I thought I would provide some narratives to give a context. So El Noche en Blanco, or the Night of White, I think that's what it's called, in Madrid, Spain in 2007. The photo on the screen is Tristan on the left, myself next, and Kirsten from the United States and Veronica from Great Britain. And I'm going to go through the photographs that show the night. This is a main monument in Madrid and see how it's all lit up white. That building is the Metropolis and it's a beautiful building, and it was a monument that I spent a lot of time around. So I was studying at the Tandem Spanish College. That's one of the reasons I went to Spain. And this night, 5 of us decided we would go to El Noche en Blanco. And this is Andrea from the United States and Tristan. And Tristan, I think, was trying his luck. But everyone loved Tristan. And this is Tristan and Andrea. This is Tobias from Lichenstein. It's a little bit out of focus, but I wanted to include it because it's such a nice photo of the three of them. Veronica and Andrea and the alcohol. And that's how you get the alcohol in cerveza, in beer buckets. So this was the days before I was a Muslim, so I would have a drink and it was a very serious business. Tobias. This is Veronica and Kirsten, and this is a photo of the 4 of us. Again, this is in the restaurant, me in the restaurant. So I'm going to skip through these because this is the night that this is beforehand. And this was the pub we were in, had this amazing artwork on the wall. Spain is like a living gallery with its beautiful architecture. It's a bit dark because it's very hard to take photos indoors at night. The thumbs are in focus. Obviously I didn't have the camera. And that one is just what it is. And this was a local Spanish person. And this is the Matadero Centre where we went to for El Noche en Blanco. So what you do is you got on a train and then on a bus, and it seemed to go for a long time. And we came to this place that had a dance party going on. And this is when we're getting in to go in, but it's also a film festival. So, Veronica. And this was what was going on. It's very difficult to photograph, but it was an exhibition of the architecture and showing. And these slides, I was interested in the photographs that they were including in the light show. And so they were pretty hard to photograph. And so it was cinema. And this is where we were. Inside through that door is where the theatre film exhibition was. So that's Andrea, Kirsten, Veronica, Tobias and Tristan. And they were really great people, and we kind of had a really nice night. The narrative is that we all went out together to a festival in a strange country where we didn't know the language very well. We were Spanish students, but all in the elementary level. Just to give some context about who all of us were, Kirsten and Andrea were university students on a sabbatical from the USA, so they were quite sheltered in a sense from very nice families. Veronica was a nurse, so she'd been around the block, and she was a very practical person, and Tristan was from Switzerland. Veronica was from the United Kingdom, and so she had a lot in common with Australia because she'd been to Australia, I believe. Tristan was from Switzerland. He was the one that everyone loved. He was very charming and very friendly to everyone. And Tobias was a little bit shy, but after he'd had a few drinks, he was a bit more relaxed. Tobias was from Lichenstein. In the early days of the Olympic Games in the 1950s, when it was expected that only large countries would win gold medals, Lichenstein won a gold medal, and we were told the story in school about how the band didn't know how to play the anthem, so they just ad-libbed. And so one of the more endearing qualities of this night, because we were concerned about Lichenstein's reputation, then by the end of the night we were singing "Oh Lichenstein, oh Lichenstein. Next time you read a map, perhaps you should consult the weather map as its new anthem." And Tobias was a good sport about it. And it was one of those rare times where I had my camera. Often on social nights I would leave my camera at home. And these are a nice set of photographs. This is a nice photo of Kirsten there, so I've included it. Again, that's a nice expression on her face. And this man was walking through. They were locals. And so this was what was happening. It was this party, and then this happened. The power went out. It had rained and their generator got wet. And so there was a power failure. And so everyone was stuck around, so no one could get into the party, and the buses were unloading and driving off to another place. So that was the building we were supposed to go into, and we were all waiting, but we couldn't go in. So there was a lot of unhappy people. And so it was after this that I stopped taking the photos, because it got a little bit brittle in terms of atmosphere. But the story that I wanted to tell was that we were sitting there, and it's about language and how different people's approach to language can affect them. All of my fellow students on this excursion were much more advanced in their Spanish than I was, but their language had been learnt in the classroom, whereas I had spent a month nearly travelling around Spain, and I had learnt on the street. And my background as a photographer means that I'm able to walk up and speak to people to take photos. You ask to have their photo taken, and that requires being able to talk to people. I had a much higher level of confidence in terms of language usage. So the funny story was that this group of middle-aged people were there, and I was rolling a cigarette sitting in the gutter waiting for the bus or something, and these people came along, and because I was rolling tobacco, they asked for help, and it was a funny interaction. And luckily I had had some experience with the street type Spanish, and so the upshot was they had a block of special tobacco, and their children had given it to them and told them to go out, but they hadn't told them how to use it, didn't know what to do with it. I didn't care about whether I got the language correct. I just wanted to get the meaning across. And so by trying to communicate, I was the only one left who was able to blunder along and assist these people in their hour of need. My fellow students were a bit bloody useless out of the classroom. I was given the task of helping them to roll some special cigarettes, which they then were able to smoke. And if you haven't used special block tobacco before, like these middle-aged people, they had no idea how to use it, how to make it, and how to get it to work. So it did require some demonstration. And like a lot of Spanish people, they were very generous, and they invited me to provide some special handmade cigarettes for our group. So that was a very nice thing for them to do. And they were great people, and it meant that our night had this really joyful interlude with interaction with locals. But for us, our group were happy because it meant that we got a commission, which was quite welcome, given that at this place there was no alcohol, there was no drinks, there was no coffee, because all the power had gone out. So when the power had gone out and people were getting upset, we were mellow and kind of just waiting and with our group, and went back into the city. So that's the story. You don't have to have perfect language. You just have to try, and that you can communicate and get the message across. And practice makes not perfect, but practice helps. And so to finish off, this is back near Sol, Centro Ciudad. Veronica and I walked back after we caught the train and bus. We walked back to Sol through the city with some of it still lit up, and there's Veronica, and this is back to the beginning. So I hope you liked that little story. It's for my friends and family who might stumble upon it, and to give some context to people who might see these photographs that look less classically landscapey. If you like this content, then please like, share and subscribe. The website is carearwen.org. Follow me on X at JamesRendell17, and the other links to social media will be on the screen. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.